peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
To you and thank you for joining us. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and of course we're coming to you all the way from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. A rather chilly morning, but beautiful nevertheless. I trust that you had a wonderful weekend, so I'm here to let you know what has been happening over the weekend and to bring us up to date with things that matter to us here in Kenya and indeed across the continent. So a warm welcome to you and thank you so much for finding time to be with us this morning, and of course good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you tuned in this morning here, the 2nd of November 2020, and the year is slowly rounding up. It has been such a long year for us. 2020 has been one interesting year, and so I'm sure a lot of people are happy that slowly 2020 is perhaps coming to an end, but we still have about 2 months or so to go. So thank you so much. We shall start with the statistics of COVID-19, and then later on the panel will join me, and then we shall look at the rest of the topics we have, and then of course the newspaper review this morning. I'm joined by Sean, that is Daniel Wesonga. Daniel, good morning to you. All right, as Wesonga works on getting in, joining us there, works on his signals and joins us there. Let's look at how we stand this morning in line with COVID-19 and Kenya. The cases stands at 55,877 cases. The death toll is 1,013. Recoveries is 37,194. Uganda, the cases right now stands at 12,743. The death toll in Uganda is 112. Recoveries is 7,556 cases. And then we go to South Africa, the leading country in the continent, and the statistics right now stands at 726,823 confirmed cases in South Africa. The death toll is 19,411 cases, and recoveries is 655,330 there. And so we look at the total cases in Africa, and the total cases that have been reported in the continent stands at 1,627,212. The number of deaths in Africa is 45,500, and recoveries right now stands at 1,371,311 cases. The global cases have surpassed 46,000, standing at 46 million, not thousand. That would have been shocking. 46 million cases, 823,570 global cases, and the global deaths stands at 1,205,321, and the recovery stands at 33,756,959. And as I keep saying, these figures are subject to change because we prepared them about 10 minutes ago. So there's a possibility that countries have updated their latest confirmed cases across the globe and indeed across Africa, so that might have changed there. But thank you. That is where we stand this morning in line with COVID-19. So now let's just go and start looking at the headlines there. Daniel, if you can hear me, a very good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Very good morning, Miriam Ogutu. Of course, I've seen the figures there, and maybe just a word or two on it. I feel like perhaps here in Kenya, the second wave is being experienced. And perhaps it is only good to call on our viewers, our fellow Kenyans, to be careful as they go ahead with their daily activities, because this thing now is becoming quite an issue in our midst.
Mm-hmm. we have to keep talking. And it's something that we talk about here every day, and people are bored. Even you see when you talk about COVID-19, people are not interested anymore. But the fact remains that people are continuing to die. People are continuing to get infected. Our hospitals are overwhelmed right now. The ICUs, there's no space. So this is still a concern. And I'm surprised that the higher the figures we are recording even right now, this is the time Kenyans, and indeed we see people across the world, I don't know if it's just fatigue or what, this is the time people choose to not care much compared to when we started and the figures were a bit low. What do you think could be happening? Is it fatigue, or is it just people are just tired and people don't care anymore?
I think, Miriam, whatever is happening is the latter, that people don't care anymore. I think the moment the president opened the country, the economy, people let loose the guard on COVID-19 restrictions, and they no longer adhere to the measures that have been given there by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. So that is the caution, the kind of caution people should not let elude their minds, that COVID-19 is still here with us, and they should not let the fact that the economy is open misguide them into thinking that Corona is all gone. And that is where we are missing the point. And actually, I was able to speak this morning to a medical practitioner who is in Kakamega County General Hospital, and she told me that the situation there is dire. In 30 minutes, the number of patients who are confirmed to have contracted the virus is quite alarming. And that is whatever is happening even in Uasin Gishu County also. I had to talk to someone there. So to me, I think Kenyans should be a bit careful. They should not just swish away the fact that the disease is still amongst us as a people. And that is what perhaps is contributing to the high numbers of positive cases, Miriam.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. And I see Javen is trying to join us there. Once he's able to join us, then he shall also give us his thoughts on that. So let's just turn our attention to the headlines this morning. And we start with the Standard newspaper. And what it says there is, up there, Anglican Church turns 50 as COVID-19 surges. For God and man, President joins clergy and faithful to celebrate milestone, praises a church for leading reforms, and warns Kenyans about pandemic threatening lives and livelihoods. And what I heard President Kenyatta there say is that you still have responsibility. Please continue wearing your mask, continue washing your hands, and continue sanitizing. And please, for heaven's sake, for your own good and for the other person's good and for your family and friends' good and the people that you love, please social distance, because that will help a lot. But wearing a mask is the sure way of at least ensuring that you are protected, even if sometimes social distancing is not possible there. Don't leave your house without a mask, and please hold the other person next to you responsible if you see them having a mask or not having a mask, or even having a mask and they're not wearing it properly, because that seems to be now the bigger problem here. Daniel, people have masks, yes, but a lot of them don't care to put them where they're supposed to be. People wear them as accessories, and that is the part I don't really understand. Or when people are having them, when they want to speak, being the time that they should be having it on, they lower it or they remove it to speak, and then you wear it. And then you're thinking, so what is the purpose? Do you not understand that when you're speaking or when the other person is speaking, that will be the appropriate time of wearing that mask to block those droplets of just passing, because it's airborne? I don't get it. But I see Javen has joined us. Javen, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So we have just read the COVID-19 statistics, and President Uhuru Kenyatta continues to call on people, Kenyans, to be careful and to continue observing these measures of COVID-19. And we've seen a lot of relaxation when it comes to Kenyans and how they carry out their activities out there in the public. People really don't care.
Yeah, that is exactly what is happening. And like where I am in this entire region, and I was in Nyeri, today I'm in Nanyuki, and when I was going around those places, I saw people, they don't wear those masks, and even some shops, they don't have those water. They have just an empty tank, and they don't have even a soap. And I think the problem is the law enforcers, because they are not enforcing these laws. That is why Kenyans have relaxed. And
Mm-hmm.
from our political players who are going to keep in.
Okay, Jevan, you might have to get a better place for your signal. We seem to be having a problem there with your reception. Please work on it, and then we shall come back. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Without observing the social distance, disease is not there, and that is the problem. It is becoming seriously every day, in and out.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's just leave that. Oko Ajaki, a very good morning to you. Saying you're watching us from Denver, Colorado, and Ogebe Omoto Chan. Good morning to you too, and thank you so much for watching us today. So the front pages there of the Standard newspaper, the main headline, Ruto left out of BBI power talks. I mean, BBI is not going anywhere, anytime, anywhere. So this is a conversation we shall continue having. And then later on our coming show after this, we shall look at BBI point by point so that we get to, put the information out there and people to understand what exactly is contained in the BBI. So we shall do a review of the BBI for the sake of making sure that Kenyans are empowered with this very important information, even as we prepare to go out there and make our decision whether we support it or not. Of course, they've not decided whether it's going to be consensus or contested. They're still working on the modalities, but it's important to have the information. Information is power, so we shall do that. We shall give you the information as it is in the BBI, all right? Not as it is in the BBI. We shall try to have us all know what's there. But on the front pages there, as I've read that headline, Ruto left out of BBI power talks, sharing the spoils. Jubilee and ODM lawmakers allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga hold up in Naivasha to chat way forward for handshake report. As allies of Deputy President protest, they were not invited. First of all, let me just read some of their they've been quoted here. So the first one is Susan Kihika, Nakuru Senator. She's saying, we have always maintained that BBI was never about inclusivity, but exclusivity. If they want a smooth and a successful process, then they should walk their talk and be more widely consultative. And then Samson Cherargei, that is Nandi Senator. I'm reading from the front pages of the Standard, so they've been quoted there. So the Nandi Senator is saying, we were not invited. I did not receive any invitation. I'm told it was some Kamkunji for those pro-BBI. We, however, are aware of a retreat in Naivasha. And then Methika Linturi, the Meru Senator, this is what he says. I was not invited to that meeting. You can see the hypocrisy. On one hand, they want people to have a non-contested referendum, and on the other hand, they are locking out people they perceive have contrary opinion. And then Caleb Kositany, Soy Member of Parliament, he's quoted as saying, I'm told there is another meeting in 1 week, specifically for those who were not invited for the Naivasha meeting. We are waiting to see whether we will be invited to that other meeting. All right. And then John Badi, Majority Leader. The retreat in Naivasha was organized by the House leadership. Some were invited, others were not. Those who are not invited will attend another session if convened. We invited the MPs who believe in the BBI process and its report. So at least John Badi there is outright. He's not even trying to pretend like perhaps the invites for other people did not, hazikufika. Anasema, this was for people who are pro-BBI. And Irungu Kangata, who is the Senate Majority Whip, is saying, we do not invite everybody, but only those who support and champion President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda. So they're outright there. And Emilio Dhiambo, the MP for Suba North, says, she's quoted as saying, we are preaching BBI. Do not listen to everything you hear out there. People are saying that through the BBI, the Senate is now being weakened. Their reasoning is simply because of the inclusion of women. Oh, okay. So Maina Kamanda, nominated Member of Parliament, he says, let it be known that nothing will be added or removed from the report. We are passing it as it is. That is why we had the first draft, so that people can read and give us their views. So let's just start there, Daniel, with this where it says that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga hold up in Naivasha to chat with the lawmakers, to chat way forward for handshake reporters, allies of Deputy President protest. They were not invited. I think we had this conversation and we're having it again. So they're saying they were not invited. At the same time, they have come out and said they're not strong believers or not believers at all of the BBI. So
yes, Miriam, first and foremost, these are people who are speaking with both corners of their mouth. On one side, they're saying that they don't believe in BBI, and the BBI, they're requesting the people to shoot down the BBI report. And on the other, they're also telling Kenyans that, look, we want to have a consensus on this document, but the other side has denied us entry on the negotiation table. But you cannot come on the negotiation table when outrightly you've already told your supporters that whatever they should prepare for is to shoot down the report. You know, when you listen to the speeches of Musalia Mudavadi vis-a-vis that of William Ruto, you'll notice that for Musalia Mudavadi, that was someone who was interested in the consensus, because he said that he has had a few things about the BBI report. He thinks that it is a good report, and therefore, where he feels that there need to be changes, he is so much open to have a consensus on the table, a discussion with the two principals, and have the document altered to be able to improve on those areas. But listening to the deputy president, he went ahead to point only the deficiencies in the document, according to him, without giving remedies to those deficiencies that he perceived that are not good in the document. And furthermore, he never gave the document a window of negotiations. Rather, what he has done, he did immediately after that meeting at Bomas on Monday. He was in Mount Kenya again, calling on the people to shoot the document down. And also, that also happens to go hand in hand with whatever the lieutenants are doing. When you look at them at Moses Kuria talking about the guaranteed minimum returns for coffee, tea, milk, and sugar and vegetables, these are things that have not, you can say that have not been done by the government. You've seen the Agriculture Minister Moses Kuria, Moses Kuria, but Peter Munya carrying out very, very robust reforms in the farming sector, agricultural sector across the country. We've seen them putting a lot of efforts to ensure that we have reforms that for coffee farmers, for tea farmers, and also even for sugarcane farmers in Western Kenya. So to me, I think these are people, when they are allowed to hijack the BBI reports, they are gonna cause a lot of damage more than good. And therefore, to me, whatever we discussed yesterday, and Professor Jared Onyari was very categorical, that these are people who are hell-bent to ensure that the report is derailed, to play with the delay tactics, and make sure that at the end of the day, it does not take root. So to me, it is very much in order for those ones who ensure that perhaps people who are very much made up in mind to bring down the BBI report are not allowed a position in the team that is spearheading the next phase or the next course of action for this report. And yesterday I mentioned that for the meeting in Naivasha, it was not dubbed as a pro-BBI meeting, but a meeting for the like-minded legislators, both Senate and the Parliament. So that is my take on it. I believe it's a move in the right direction, so that we keep away all these saboteurs and dissidents who are hell-bent to abort the mission away from moving closer to the document, because the end of it all, they'll make sure that this good report does not see the light of the day if allowed to.
All right, very well. But we know, because John Mbadi, who is minority leader, and also Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kangata, have come out and said the people who were invited to this meeting were the people who are pro the BBI process and who believe, specifically they said, who believe in the BBI process and its report. So those are the people who are invited. So let's see those who are not invited, Karanja. And one of them is Susan Kihika Nakuru, Senator, and she's saying, we have always maintained that BBI was never about inclusivity, but exclusivity. If they want a smooth and successful process, then they should walk their talk and be more widely consultative. And then Mithika Linturi, the Meru Senator, now also said, I was not invited to that meeting. You can see the hypocrisy. On one hand, they want people to have a non-contested referendum. On the other hand, they're locking out people they perceive have contrary opinion. So Mithika Linturi is saying that is hypocrisy. And then Susan Kihaki, Nakuru Senator, she's saying a BBI is not about inclusivity, but exclusivity. And Javan, someone will argue, this report went with, we had the first report. And then there was time for this report. It was because it had not captured the views of some of the views that Kenyans had put forth, very well. So it was taken back so that they could get more views, and so that they can put in more important things in that BBI. And so there was another phase, there was another window where anybody who felt they had something that was very important, or they needed something changed in that or included in the BBI, they had that window. But I've not read anywhere where these people opposed to the BBI ever took their time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they went and I did not see, but I've not read anywhere where they said, this is what we gave to the BBI team. You know, this is what we wanted, or this is what we thought Kenyans wanted, or this is what we've been consulting with Kenyans and as the leaders and the people who represent them. This is what Kenyans have sent us to bring to you, the BBI team. I've not seen that. So when Kihika says this process is exclusivity, is for exclusivity and not for inclusivity, and Mithika calling it hypocrisy because people who are not probably BBI were not invited to this meeting. Okay, help me understand, Javen.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam. And first of all, we must agree that BBI was born out of the handshake that we got after 2017 election that was quite contested. We saw what happened. There was a boycott of product and so on, demonstrations everywhere. And in their wisdom, President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister shook hands. That is when the BBI was born. Therefore, BBI is an offspring of a peaceful process. And we know after that BBI, the same people who are now saying that they were excluded were the same people who are fighting the BBI. And we know even prior to the handshake, the same people were against the dialogue that were being asked by various groups, societies, and even the church. The same people are saying that we don't want dialogue. If we have lost an election, the best you can do is to go home. And then we had the handshake, then the BBI. The first process, the people were invited to take their views. But the same people and characters, they didn't take their views. They didn't represent anything. In fact, they started fighting it, saying that it is creating possession of various few people who have been losing election, but they have not been accepting the results. That is what exactly they said. And we know that the problem in this country is unfair and a malpracticed election, that it is not quite representing the will of the people. And they went on and fighting the process. And when the first draft came in Bomas, and they said that, oh, we are not given a chance, let's be open for more recommendations so that we can give our views. And that window was created. That is when we got the BBI steering committee. And they didn't represent their views even at this juncture. Therefore, these are people who have been excluded themselves. They have not been excluded by anybody. They excluded themselves from the process because to them they thought this is a process that is fighting the presidential ambition of the Deputy President William Ruto. And to them, that was quite unfair. That from their group of thinking. And we came to Bomas. And William Ruto came up with those recommendations of IBC, or the Senate is being degraded, and so on. And we wonder, why did they not present those views? We know we work in a process. A process takes time. It has a timeline and a deadline. That is when we had this document. It's now filed. It is now in public scrutiny where we read the document to understand. And when they are saying, the likes of Susan Kihika and the Meru Senator Mithika Lintuli, saying that they were not invited in Naivasha, they are being hypocrites. They are them who are being hypocrites because how could they be invited when they have been fighting the process? This process will be steered by the people Wesonga calls like-minded, because we cannot bring a person of contrary opinion, a person who have been fighting the process, to come and start driving the steering the wheel. Because at the end of the day, they will take us in the wrong direction. Because the direction of President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister is to unite this country. But these people, if they were invited there, they could bring all these divisions. And we expected, after what William Ruto said in Bomas, and they asked for more room for reforms, I thought in his tour in Mount Kenya, he could be preaching that kind of message that, oh, the BBI is here, is a good document, but we need to improve it. That is the message that he could be driving out. But when he comes in this region, he's telling people, do you want wheelbarrow or Prime Minister? Do you want mkokoteni ama hii kitu tuangushe? These kind of messages is to saying that these people are determined to drill the gains that the president are making. Therefore, for me, I agree with the Senate Majority Whip. I agree with the Minority Leader in the Parliament that this process will be led by the people who support the process of uniting Kenyans.
Mm-hmm. So the story, page 6 of the Standard newspaper, that says pro-handshake, somewhere down there, if you have the paper. While the pro-handshake MPs were making their way to Naivasha yesterday, Ruto and his allies were in Meru and Tharaka Nithi, where they warned against the stance taken by those supporting the document. Ruto, while on a tour of Uhuru's backyard, threatened that he and his supporters would stop the BBI process if the proponents turn a deaf ear to his offer for negotiations to avoid a contentious referendum. So he's saying, if you don't accept my offer for negotiations, we will have a problem here. He threatened that he and his supporters would stop the BBI process. I don't know how that will happen, but Daniel.
Yes, Miriam, I think it's quite unfortunate that the Deputy President has decided to take such unscrupulous route to address grievances, not only which are deemed to be internal grievances with his boss, but also as a national leader, throwing a country in some kind of pandemonium with ultimatums that if you don't do this, then I'm going to take this route. And for a very, very factual clarity, Miriam, I'll have to make it clear that the Deputy President and his allies started talking negatively about the BBI reports even before it was unveiled before Kenyans, and we were able to know whatever contents it carried for the day. And therefore, it tells you that these were people who never had the goodwill, neither did they have the intention to support this document from the inception of it. So to me, I think he's being very sincere when even he asks for consensus and giving very baseless ultimatums to the government of the day. And as Karanja has said, after bombers of Kenya, we expected the Deputy President to go out there and encourage his supporters to read the document so that they are able to bring out the contentious issues which they deem that they were not supposed to be included in the report, and therefore form a basis of the conversation on how to be able to improve about them. But whatever he has been doing is quite opposite to what is expected. He's been asking them whether they support the wheelbarrow or the BBI report, and that begs you the pertinent question: is the wheelbarrow in the BBI? And if not, what are the alternative measures or alternative clauses that the Deputy President recommends that be put on the BBI report so that it can be improved? You remember before when the BBI was starting, we had Ekuru Aukot of the Third Way Alliance with his Punguza Mzigo draft, which Kenyans read on side by side with the BBI report, and they could tell, okay, this clause in the BBI, in the Punguza Mzigo, is implementable, this one cannot. And for a fact, Miriam, I was able to go through the Punguza Mzigo draft, and I was able also, I've been also able rather to go through the BBI draft, and I can tell you, some of the proposals that were in the Punguza Mzigo initiative have been adopted and improved and made better into the BBI report. And they are there. And that is why perhaps you haven't heard people who are in Third Way Alliance complaining much about the BBI report. Kalonzo Musyoka told you about his proposals of having 5% of the revenue allocated to the county going to the Ward Development Fund. And that has been adopted into the BBI report. And that is why perhaps Kalonzo feels that his views were heard in the BBI report. And therefore, each and every one of us, including William Ruto, Moses Kuria, and Kimani Ngunjiri, had an opportunity to grace of the 93 forums that were held by the BBI task force and the validation and the steering committee to present their views. But conversely, they never attended those forums. They rather chose to go and present their views in the podiums or the funerals, harambes, and the pulpits where they attended church service on Sundays. And that is what it is. And right now, I see no need for them trying to cajole and twist someone to accept their views, or else they threaten to oppose it. Let them just oppose it, and that is what we should be prepared for as a country. At the end of the day, we're going to have a yes campaign and a no campaign, as Professor said yesterday. So let the battle lines be drawn, and we shall square it out in a referendum election.
All right. Professor, I see you've joined us. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam.
All right. So on
Daniel Kalanja.
Yes. Thank you so much. Sorry, all right, page 7 of the Standard newspaper. There it says, be flexible on BBI debate, says Ruto and down. Somewhere there it says, speaking at Munyange Presbyterian Church of East Africa in Othaya, Nyeri County, at the end of a 3-day charm offensive in Mount Kenya, Dr. Ruto said the report should be inclusive. He said even President Uhuru Kenyatta backed consensus building during the unveiling of the BBI report at Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi. The head of state was categorical that dialogue must be given a chance. Those taking a hardline position on the report are only interested in engaging in politics of us versus them, which in the end will be destructive, said Ruto. So that is what he said there. And Professor, I know yesterday we were trying to understand why DP Ruto is so much into a consensus BBI rather than a contested referendum there. And perhaps I was just listening to some show in the morning, a morning radio show, coming to work in the morning, and Kenyans did not even want to hear about this consensus, a referendum. They were saying, no, these people have been opposing this thing, they've been opposing this thing. So let us go to a referendum, and there should be a yes and a no, so that those who have been opposing, let them oppose even at the ballot, and those who have been supportive of the BBI process, let them show that through voting a yes. So there's from that conversation I was hearing early in the morning, one of the leading radio stations here, a lot of Kenyans are not really for a consensus BBI. And I was just thinking why perhaps DP Ruto, got me thinking after listening to all that, why perhaps DP Ruto is so keen on a consensus referendum. Is it because perhaps, Professor, he's afraid? Remember what happened in 2010 when we were the new constitution? Those who were supporting during that referendum, those who opposed, were forced to leave the government. So because this will be a clear line, should he now go for a referendum, because he'll be forced to go out there and openly, campaign against what his boss is for. So that will be out there in the open. So is he afraid that he will be forced to leave the government, or he will be forced to, because it will be very uncomfortable? So is it a self-protective strategy that is thinking this, as much as I'll be opposing, but still, if you go through consensus, then I'll still have like a blanket, a cover. But now when it's outright yes or no, then I'll be forced now to be where I'm supposed to be, which is no, he's not supporting this process, and that might cause even further rift with him and his boss there, President Uhuru Kenyatta. So is this a protective move there, a self-preservation strategy here, if you were to look at it? That's why DP so much for the consensus referendum there, the BBI.
Yeah, Miriam, thank you for that good question. Let me just assume we have accepted consensus as is demanding. We are 47 million Kenyans, and you always say that let us not leave anyone behind. I am for it. And every voice matters, yes. What about if they reach a consensus and some of Kenyans don't agree? What will happen? Yeah, them, they have gone and they have agreed on a consensus. As some of us here, we say, we also want a consensus on what you have agreed. What is going to happen? It will be a circus and a circus and a circus, and we may not be knowing what we are doing. Miriam, here is a person who sees no evil, who talks no evil, who hears no evil. That is a terrible person, Miriam. As I've said, the process has been there for 24 months, 2 years. The consensus is asking for, I don't know. We should be able to know Miriam is saying this, and this is what BBI is saying. So you are talking consensus. We don't know what's in your mind. You have never supported this process. So Miriam, the sooner those who are for BBI knows that the deputy president is already campaigning for no. You don't, even a kindergarten kid will tell you that this man is telling you that is for no. And here this Miriam, someone who has got the immense powers of stopping it, why do you ask for consensus? He has said he can stop it. So the best we can do, Miriam, let him just go ahead and stop it. But Miriam, I have always looked at the 9-point agenda. Miriam, do you want corruption to continue in this country? Does the deputy president want corruption to continue in this country? Does he believe in devolution, that we want to take resources to the counties and to the village? And I'm looking forward, Miriam, after stepping at 35, that one will not be enough. We'll be asking for another 15 to make it 50. 50 to go to the grassroots, 50 to remain at the national level. That's what a progressive side does. Miriam, does the deputy president, those who are saying no, believe that this country, that we need to have national ethos, we need to have shared responsibilities, we need to deal with our youth? Miriam, if you don't believe on those 9-point agenda, then you don't belong to this country. You belong to your country of your own. So what is this, Miriam? The lines have been drawn. The no campaign seem to have gone ahead because they are saying they can stop it. These are people who are very powerful. So what I want to do, I like what's happening in Naivasha. Those who are there, those who are for bro BBI and they're for the Senate, they are there, they are exchanging their views. And at the end of the day, Miriam, believe me, they will reach a consensus. That's how a consensus is being built. You must believe in something. We cannot believe in a consensus over something you don't believe in. Mm-hmm. What was he telling Kenyans? Now, sometimes he thinks that Kenyans, their memory is the one like the one of a Watho. No. If their memory belongs there, fine. But we have got memories. He was telling that BBI was for creating positions. Mm. When has it come now that we can go for consensus? That's what he was telling Kenyans. He says Mama Mboga, Boda, those kind of people, those people are down there, that he want to reveal them. Miriam, if you don't go to the PBI and present your views on how you want Mama Mboga, Boda, those who are Mkongoteni, Wilbaro, how if you don't go and put your idea so that it is captured, so that you say that you think that every Kenyan youth should be given wheelbarrow. It can really be just in the constitution, if that's the kind of vision that you have the country. If you say that every village dropout, he should be given Mkongoteni, he should be given wheelbarrow. Yeah, go take those views of there. They will be captured. Kenyan will converse, and they will be in law. But from where I sit, Miriam, mm-hmm. he has not only that he has sensed defeat. He's already defeated. The more we keep even talking about him every other day, we are giving him Ponga point. Miriam, he comes with the propaganda that the Senate is being weighted, its powers are being lowered. Miriam, does it mean taking our dear sisters to the Senate to be a half? That's watering the Senate? This is a kind of marriage avenist, Miriam. We can't allow this. How is it going to be watered? I'm reading what those people in Nevada are saying that
yes,
they should be able to make the Senate half a house. That's what you should be talking about. And he has not said so. He has not pronounced himself so. So Miriam, let us not even spend more time to talk about him because he does not believe in the process. Let us prepare the referendum question. Let him just prepare his troops. Let him just go and stop it because I'm seeing he has got all those immense powers.
Mm-hmm. All right. Speaking of immense powers, well, yesterday, maybe before we just conclude that story, there's a down here, Karanja. what the DP said. We are saying that if this document remains only about expanding the executive, we shall stop this reggae. And I think that's why we will be having our second show, because I think there's more to the BBI. For the Kenyans out there who perhaps have been, you're interested to know more about what is in the BBI report, this report. And there's more to it than just expanding the executive. So we shall be here to give you the rest of the information in there. So he's saying, we are saying that if this document remains only about expanding the executive, we shall stop this reggae, he said. Ruto said that he was frequenting the region to ensure they don't forget him and at his hour of need. At least he was honest. Okay, at least he was honest there. So that the Mount Kenya region does not forget him at his hour of need. Someone told me that when you want to cook good porridge, you should keep on stirring. So that's why he's been stirring Mount Kenya region. All right, and down there it concludes by saying, those who voted for Uhuru Kenyatta must have noted that my name was also on the ballot, and that is why I'm going around doing the work that Kenyans gave us. He said. Ruto was accompanied, of course, by several leaders from that region. So Adipi was very honest about why he's been frequenting the Mount Kenya region there, Jivan, and he's saying for Uji to be proper, you can't just put the porridge there on the stove and go your way. You have to keep stirring, otherwise it will be messed up. So you have to keep stirring to ensure it comes out fine and it comes out, with the kind of thickness you want, or just a nice porridge, period. You have to be there to keep stirring. So he's saying that's why he's been stirring the Mount Kenya region to ensure that the people of Mount Kenya don't forget him during his hour of need. So at least he's honest about that. Javen.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. And that is clear indication that he is telling those people not to forget him in the hour of need. That meaning, at the fullness of time, he will come there asking for their vote to go against the BBI. That is exactly what he is meaning. You know, the deputy president has been using these innuendos and some kind of quoted messages, forgetting that Kenyans nowadays, they are elites, they understand these messages. And he knows one thing, that Mount Kenya is a vast region when it comes to matter votes. And that is why he thinks that he's concentrating more on that region. And him telling the people of Mount Kenya that they were voted with President Uhuru Kenyatta, we agree, his name was there. But this is a mentality that he has been creating, that he is a co-president. You know, when you start creating this kind of narrative that I'm the co-president, I was given this mandate. When they were doing campaigns, we didn't see anywhere they went telling the people in this country that they will be giving wheelbarrows. That one is something that is hypocritical, because they didn't tell us that when we get power, we'll be giving wheelbarrows and the mukokotenis. And when he is telling us, this region, that he is working to ensure that we get development, which development is he talking about? When he has abandoned his duties, when he was given that mandate to go and launch and commission projects in this region, he came here with the propagandas. When you go in this entire region, you will find roads that he launched that are not in progress. He launched the factories and a lot of things. But these things are not functional because he launched them when he was doing his campaign. And he thought, like, if I come in this region with these goodies and the fake projects, then people will think that I'm overworking than the president who comes from their region. And that mentality is what he created. Then when the president waked up, and I think he degraded his powers, and he was given to the Super CS Fred Matiang'i. That is when the region started seeing some of these projects were not even in the line of government projects. He just came with his own capacity to open them in order to corrupt their minds. And when that Uhuru changed that process, now we can see development coming a reality in this region. We have roads. Even when you go in this entire region, you have roads that are under construction. I saw him when he was in Tharaka Nithi harassing some contractors. And you wonder who, in which capacity? And that is why I agree, and I have been saying in this forum, the best that the president can do is to impeach the deputy president so that we can distinguish the deputy president and the William Ruto that we know. Because now he is coming in two capacities. At some points, when he is in some region, he is talking as, when he was in Nyeri, he was William Ruto. When he is in Chuka, he is the deputy president and promising roads and dams. This kind of contradictory having two persons representing two, having one person with the two representing two things, that is something that we must disagree. And this mentality of coming to corrupt the region with wheelbarrows and these handouts, this is something when the we have the contested referendum and they happen to come to this region, oh my goodness, these people will run away. They will disappear in this region because people understand. People here want development. And William Ruto has been lying to us. And when the president will come, people will understand what the BBI really means. And that is when you understand that this region is Uhuru Kenyatta. And these kind of things. And I think I wish he could go even to other regions giving wheelbarrows, because this country, everybody needs those kind of empowerments that he calls them, but those are just equipment that are not empowering anybody. Let him now go countrywide doing those kind of things. Let not him concentrate on Mount Kenya region. People here need other things. They need good environment to do their business, and that is what BBI is promising. People need good roads, people need inclusivity, so that after elections, our business will not be closed because of demonstrations. People here need more revenues in our county government, so that our counties and our ward representative will have something to develop our region. That's exactly what we want, because when you give a wheelbarrow, you are not empowering anybody. Let him go outside other regions. Maybe they need more wheelbarrows. They need wheelbarrow more than this region. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Karanja. And just to turn our attention to something a bit different there, on the Star newspaper, of course, the main headline is stage set for divisive BBI campaigns. We shall look at that. But down there, benchmarking, four members of parliament traveled to US to observe Trump-Biden presidential election. Let's look at the story on page 6 and see who these four lawmakers are. And the story says on page 6 of the Star newspaper, 4 members of parliament have traveled to the United States to observe elections pitting President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. They include Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo, Jeremiah Kioni, Member of Parliament for Ndaragwa, Abdi Shurie, Member of Parliament for Balambala, and Kisumu Senator Fred Outa, now National Assembly Clerk Michael Sialai told the Star the lawmakers will join the delegation of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission that is also traveling to the U.S. to observe the election. They have been officially invited along with the IBC to observe the U.S. elections there. So they are going to observe the U.S. elections, which I think is very interesting, and they shall be there for about 5 days. What lessons do we expect these lawmakers will bring us home? And what is also very interesting is even the IBC has been invited to go observe elections there. Can we expect that perhaps they will observe some changes that they can bring home and will better our electoral process, Professor? Daniel?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. I think it's a good thing in all aspects because America is one of the advanced democracies in the world, save for the fact that perhaps in Donald Trump era, we've seen a lot of things which have really given us painted a different picture of it. But before that, we had Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and other more than 40 presidents that were there. We saw America coming up as a very, very strong democratic country, rather. So I think it will be a very, very good learning experience. And what I expect is that perhaps now the IBC officials that will go there, once they go there and compare notes and they come back, I expect them, perhaps the entire top leadership of the IBC to pack and vacate office, because it will be a clear manifestation to them that they do not measure up to the occasion. And that is what we should expect, because as it is right now, Miriam, we've spoken here time and again that the IEBC, as it is constituted right now, it is not eligible enough to take Kenya the election, be it a referendum, be it the 2023 general election. Therefore, there is this dire need for the IEBC to be reconstituted. We have electoral reforms to be put in place to ensure that never again shall elections be the cause of conflict between Kenyans who go to the ballot to elect their leaders. So I think it is a good learning experience, and from it, both the legislators who have been invited and the IEBC officials will come back and see the need to reform our own electoral system here back in Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, and Vicky blessed one of our viewers here. You watch us so much, loyal viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you're saying you're watching from Texas. I don't know if you voted. I don't know if you're an eligible voter there in the United States, but thank you so much. And I don't know what are your feelings about the elections tomorrow. Of course, people have been voting there. And Kenya's delegation, 4 members of parliament, and the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission, commissioners are there also to observe the U.S. elections. Professor, should you expect any new lessons that they will bring home here that we can adopt?
That is very important, Miriam, that they have to go. It is good always to compare and see how others are doing things. Let them just go and see how the American do their elections, how they transmit, how they count, how the winner is announced, and how the American people react to elections. Do they have any fear that their election will be stolen, will be rigged? So, and the people who have gone there, Miriam, is not anybody else who has been picked. It is IEBC and Honorable Moro Tiende and Jeremiah Kioi. They stand very important committees in Parliament to do with the oversight, implementation, and the other one is on the record committee. So, and Miriam, you know, we are at a very important point, Miriam, to reform our IEBC. There are some laws that which we need to put in place. So others that I went, I saw, and I conquered. Mm-hmm. So I hope they are going to see something which is going to be good for this country, and particularly Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. It's good that they go and see where the American people have got their confidence in their electoral body. So to me, I see it something very positive, Miriam.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Karanja. Can we expect any lessons that they can bring home so that we can better our very, our electoral process is the problem in this country. I don't know if you can get a cure for it. So for our lawmakers going there in the IEBC, should we expect them at least to come back with something that we can borrow and adopt into our own electoral system?
Yeah, thank you. And I agree. And that was a very quite good move because, you know, a United States is one of the developed nations in matters, even electioneering process, they do it in a quite a peaceful way. And I think the IEBC of our country, going there to learn something that is quite significant because I know they will come up home with a lot of resources in terms of how to carry out elections, how to do the security data and storage of information, how to transmit those votes, how to do it electronically and so on. And that is something that is quite good because when they learn, you know, we say when you learn by seeing, that thing sticks on your mind better than reading it through the notes. And I think if they see it one-on-one, that's something that they must bring change. And we expect them to come with a lot of change. But for our IEBC, I think they should come and they should pass that knowledge to other bodies so that them, because they have failed us, they have failed this country, and now they are even coming out fighting the BBI process. Therefore, these are people who are quite not, they are quite biased because we expect them as a referee to maintain a quite neutral stand when it comes to those matters. But for them, they feel like their position will be lost. But I think it's good because some of them, maybe as the technical teams and so on, the secretariat, maybe they will remain in office while the commissioners, some of them will vacate. And they will pass that knowledge and to other teams that will come. And that will ensure that we have a quite credible electioneering learning from the United States. And those of members of parliament, I know they will learn and they will bring some legislation in the parliament from what they will see. And that is quite good because I see one of those committee of Justice and Legal Committee, they are represented well in that trip. Therefore, when they come here, I know they bring quite changes. and that will ensure that we have good registrations, that will ensure that we have a credible electioneering process. Although it will not look like what is happening in the US, at least we'll have moved somewhere. Thank you.
All right, very well. And of course, according to various news agencies, the voter turnout may surpass the 138 million that voted in 2016. And the participation rate, according to Reuters, stood at 65% of the 2016 vote as of Saturday. And of course, the candidates need at least 270 state electoral votes to win the presidency, with the focus being on Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, and media reports showed Trump had a tough assignment in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and 3 states that helped him beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. I cannot wait. The elections are tomorrow there, the United States, and I've been watching. I can't even say who I'm rooting for because I don't want some rude shocks like last time. So we'll just sit here and we shall be covering this story. So thank you so much. So on the front pages of the Star newspaper, stage set for divisive BBI report. Since the launch, 2 camps have emerged, one pushing for its amendment and the other one for its retention as it is. I think we've talked about it, so we will not keep going through the same thing. And also, I think that's just about it. But up there says Uhuru's dilemma, to reintroduce corona lockdown or not. And this is also a conversation that Kenyans have been having. So perhaps as we conclude, as we said, their corona is still here with us, so we have to keep talking as much as Kenyans don't want to adhere to these measures, but I think you still have a responsibility to have them know that corona is here. And Professor, we see there that President Uhuru Kenyatta is faced with a dilemma. He does not know whether to put the country back to a lockdown. That is not something that Kenyans will be very happy to see, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Miriam. And perhaps as much as Kenyans have been calling, even during the time we had a lockdown on President to open up the economy, they also have to put in consideration that to whom much is given, much is expected. And that is even written in the Holy Book, the Bible itself. So for them to act recklessly when the President opened the country really tells you that we really have a long way to go. And perhaps going forward, we are eminently staring at another, perhaps restricted measures to ensure that we curb down the COVID-19 pandemic and reduce the numbers. And perhaps soon enough, I expect the president to put a halt to all political rallies, because we've been seeing people really having an escalated gatherings where people have been mingling without slightest regard to the measures that have been put there by the World Health Organization or the Ministry of Health. And that has been, I believe, has been the biggest contributor to the increased numbers of positive cases. So my expectation is that we're going to have restrictions on the business premises, and it's not necessarily by having them closed down, because you understand it also has some repercussions for the business owners and those who are dependent on that sector, especially the entertainment industry. And perhaps we're going to have now a total restriction of an order banning all political gatherings. That will be a good way to go forward for us as a country.
All right, thank you so much. And Professor, there are a few businesses, especially the PSV, the public service vehicles, they're saying owners, they're saying that I don't know if that is true, that they're planning for a protest, because they're saying of every other business that has been affected, they have been affected the most, because right now they cannot carry full capacity, and there's social distancing in those vehicles. But they're seeing the political rallies continuing. They're seeing people going to church as normal. They're seeing people who just going about their the bars and opening and the clubs, and there's no social distancing. So they've been saying then, allow us to also go back to business as usual. And this is just one of the things that President Uhuru Kenyatta has to consider. So a lockdown or no lockdown, or what are we expecting if President Uhuru Kenyatta, because he is expected to be speaking to the country about the same soon. And so, Professor, what are your expectations? A lockdown, or what are we staring at?
Miriam, you almost know what I'm going to say.
Lockdown?
Because it is just like the matters of self-determination, Miriam, we don't negotiate. When people want to decide on who they want to become, So on matters of life and death, Miriam, should we negotiate? Do we even give room for imagination that this is what we wanted to be done? Miriam, you would only just choose not to see what's happening around the world. What's happening in Britain? What's happening in France? What's happening in Belgium? What's happening in Italy? What's happening in Spain? And then you talk about those. In fact, they are thinking of like Britain. They are going to work for 1 month. And Miriam, when you people focus, the numbers are going high. You know me, my interest is the number of people who are dropping dead every other day. Every other day, we are having Kenyans who are dying, who are succumbing to COVID-19. So the president should know that this is in dilemma. There is no dilemma. Let him just proceed and have a lockdown for the next 30 days, a serious lockdown. And Miriam, we can be able to contain this disease. You know, sometimes you want to look at the economy, you want to do this, see what has happened now. You make with 30 days, no Kenya moves, there is a curfew, there is everything and everything else, Miriam. We will be able to just be able to deal with this thing once and for all. Coronavirus, Miriam, does not work. It is you carry from where you are to bring it to me, I take it to someone else. So Miriam, if I put you where you are, can someone else get? This one which has happened in the rural places, Miriam, it is people from the city who has imported there, Miriam.
True.
So the only restriction, Miriam, which we need to do, and even the Matatu transporters arguing that this is what you see people committing crime. You also say that I want to commit crime. These political leaders are murderers, are criminals. They don't want to comply to abide by the law. Where is 2022 general election, Miriam? 22 months away, and the people are just moving around. And I wonder, Miriam, if this thing become a pandemic and it wipes everybody else, and it wipes you,
it is a pandemic, Professor. Yeah. It is a pandemic.
You don't know what a pandemic can do. It can wipe all of us. So whom are you going to be a president to? Who are going to be your subject, Miriam? When it comes to this pandemic, let us put our heads together. Let us assist the president. Let us keep all the protocols. Let us be our brothers keepers. And even when you look at the president, is totally in dilemma. He doesn't even want to know what to do. He looks shaky. He looks frightened. Let us not put our president in that kind of situation, Miriam. Even if you talk about, see, we said you don't open schools. Are you seeing what has happened?
All right, Professor.
So, Miriam,
yes,
for this month of November and December, let us at least do something. Let the curfew come back at 7.
For November and December.
And we mean it and we support it. Then this thing will be just behind us, Miriam.
All right. According to Professor there, Christmas has been cancelled. If President Kenyatta was to listen. Jevan, finish for us.
Okay, thank you very much. And I quite agree. And I think if this country, in the first case of this COVID-19, we took serious measures around April and May, then we could not be where we are today. I expected in the first place to have a total lockdown, because by now we could be done with that lockdown and people could go in with their business as usual. But the government was quite reluctant, and it gave Kenyans a space to do their businesses, and to do that level of reluctance is what caused us. And when we came to the reopening of the economy, people forced the president. They pressured the president, open, we will maintain, we will follow the government protocols, but they failed to do that. That is why these numbers are escalating. And something else that the president must stop is these political gathering, because their people are not observing. They are not observing anything when it comes to matter COVID-19. They are there with no mask, no sanitizers, no nothing. Therefore, these political gatherings should be stopped for quite a period of time, so that Kenyans will have a break from this kind of a gathering, because that is where this disease spreads the most. And when it comes to matter economy, I don't feel it's good to have a total lockdown. I feel like the government should ensure that those services that are quite significant to the people of Kenya should be given a priority, so that they can keep moving. And I think something that they must close, I think something that is quite not well controlled, is the markets. I think these markets should be given a tighter measures, they should keep more strict measures in those markets, because those where people don't observe, those is where people go touching potatoes, cabbages, and so on, and they leave it there without washing their hands. And when somebody comes, they also do the same. That is why the spend is quite high in those areas that have these big markets. Therefore, those markets, I think they should be closed. But other things like transport and cessation of movement, I think Kenyans should be given priority to move, but with strict measures and observing this guidance. Because at the end of the day, these Kenyans will still force the president to reopen. And you saw what happened. People used to be carried in crates and in potatoes bags to those carrying cabbages from Kirinyaga to Nairobi. These kind of things are dramatic, and I think the government should ensure that we have quite a controlled curfew or a controlled lockdown, if it must be, that ensures that at a specific period of time, people can go and come back, like the curfew happening. And the use of the curfew was quite successful. And I think those things that we must go back there so that we control this disease. Because at the end of the day, when we all suffer, this country will be left now with no one to make the voice. And I think that is where we should not go. Let this country be protected. Let the government protect the economy. Let him protect the country. And let Kenyans, I think the responsibility, this is not about the government. The first responsibility comes to us as an individual. If we observe these measures, this disease will not spread. If we be disciplined, this disease we will fight this disease and we will win. Therefore, personal responsibility, personal discipline is the key and is the main contributor in the fighting and successful fighting of this COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. Thank you so much, Jen from Nanyuki. And you made a revelation that I did not even know happened, that people used to be carried in potato, vegetable sacks back to the city or back to the village during during when we had the first restrictive, measures earlier. That's interesting. Kenyans are so creative, but not even in a good way, because it's for your own good that we had those measures. Thank you so much. This has been Good Morning Africa. We will take a short break, and then when we come back, we shall be looking at reviewing the BBI, some of the key, points there for us to have a better understanding, away from the politics, away from what we hear politicians are saying or want or what is happening. We have the copy here that was made available by the Kenyan government, very short, the shortened piece, a version of the BBI report, and so we shall be looking at that. I also do have the first version here with me, so maybe we shall compare and contrast. This was the first version. This one is in Kiswahili. I'll get the English one so that you're able to better understand. And then we shall look at that when we come back, see what exactly is in the BBI, not what we're being told is in there. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you, Javan. Thank you, Daniel. We all will see you in a short bit. Please don't go too far. This has been Good Morning Africa. I am Miriam Ogutu. Good morning to you.